You can see it. Hello. It's a fault. Hey, welcome back to the Trumpet. I'm glad you could join my live. I'm trying to see if my map right here, you can see, oh, you can almost see that. That's the Dead Sea. That's the Jordan Valley Rift right there. We've got a couple of people coming into the room. Y'all tell me real quick if my volume's coming in. I see all the people in. Somebody just let me know that the thing's working, and then I'll just keep going. I am. My moderators told me that I have to check my pinned comments. So I'm going to be looking for y'all's comments as we talk about the book of Jubilees. All right. Somebody give me a thumbs up and tell me that loud and clear. There it is right there. That's the one I was looking for. Hey, look, we're going to be talking about the book of Jubilees, and it was a Dead Sea Scroll. And we found the book of Jubilees in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it was like right here. I want you to notice that. It's got a negative sign right there in front of it. It's 1,400 feet, which is the height of a 140-story building, is 1,400 feet below sea level. So there's the sea, and there's all of this stuff. And this is the Dead Sea, and this is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were, right there. So the book of Jubilees, which is what we're reading. If you're going to be reading with us tonight, my study guide, I downloaded the book of Jubilees. It's on my bio page right there. Go to my bio page and go to my link tree, and it is it'll be the book of Jubilees on my link tree, and it's chapter number 8 is what we're doing. This one's cool because I'm going to tell you something. This is talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls and the division of the land, and it talks about the Gayon River. And like nobody knows where the Gayon River is. I can tell you something. The Gayon Springs, where all the kings, the first kings of Israel and all that stuff, they were crowned right there by Gayon Springs. And it was a big spring, a major water source is where the Philistines and all this, everybody made that a source. And I'm going to tell you, I think it used to fill up this major thing. And this is a picture of this little map. You see that right there? All right. That is called the Jordan Valley Rift right there. All right. See, there's my moderators, and I said I'm going to look for my pinned comments. Y'all just let me know if you got any questions. The Jordan Valley Rift is really cool, but it's like a fault line that goes all the way down and into Africa, where the land of the flaming mountains and all that stuff. But they found the book of Jubilees right there with the other books right after the Second World War in the 1940s, and they found the book of Jubilees and the book of Genesis and Exodus and all the Old Testament documents. They found them. In the church, I've got all kinds of screenshots where I ask the computer and go, hey, tell me what so-and-so in the book of Jubilees. And it'll say something so off the wall. And I'm like going, hey, bro, use the one that was translated after you found the Dead Sea Scrolls, not the one that the church had put out. Because the church got busted out earlier, and they made it sound the way they wanted it to, and they read different. And I busted them out on that. So anyway, let's get where we're going to be talking about the division of the land. And I'm going to touch these effects right here. It gives me that. Gives me some pictures. Touch the plus sign. I want to talk about some really cool things. Listen, one of the first things that they found in the book of Jubilee, in the chapter 8, it starts talking about, there's a picture of this right there in the study guide. Again, if you're keeping up with us, we're on chapter 8. It's the book of Jubilees. It reads just like the book of Genesis and a part of the book of Exodus. It's 50 chapters. The book of Genesis is 50 chapters. We're on chapter 8. Genesis, about chapter 8 or 9, reads right along with us. So it's saying the same thing, just has a lot more receipts into it, and we all just, I've loved it. I've loved it. All right. My heart is so full. Thank you so much for the gifts. Go download Gigi. That's my wife, Gigi Sixpack right there. She's just the sweetest heart in the world. She truly is an angel. I'm going to tell you, go to my bio page right there, click on my link tree, and then click the top three dots that says down at view in browser, and then you can print it and all that stuff. A lot of people go, I can't get to it, and you got to click view in browser. Thank you so much for the gifts, and I certainly appreciate all the people that have subscribed to my page. I told my wife we're going to get every one of those people's names, and I'm giving them one of these right here. That's my Ezekiel 222. It's a $2 bill, but it's just my subscribers. I got a stamp. And the Book of Jubilees, the reason I put Mark 222 on there is because it says, Mark 222 says the trumpet. Ezekiel 33:32. I know it's backwards. I know it's backwards. But Mark 2:22 says you can't put new wine into an old wineskin. You have to put new wine into a new wineskin. And or you'll burst the wineskin and ruin the wine and the wineskin. And we all have the grandparents and parents and a lot of people that are with us, and they study an older way. I mean, you tell them, hey, I'm reading the Book of Jubilees, man, and they're like, hey, you can't read that in front of me. You try to preach this in the church. I'm like going, no, it just says everything that the Book of Genesis does. It just says that Cain and Abel had a sister, and that people just, all right, well, I sort of like it. It didn't say she was a witch or anything like that, so relax. But I can tell you that the Book of Jubilees, as we've read through it, everybody just loves it because I've gotten the best comments, and thousands of people have downloaded the Book of Jubilees and these guides. And when you take the cover off of it, it's going to print this whole chapter. And we're going to build a Book of Jubilees. And I've already got these others. I've glued them together and I'll put it right there. And then my Book of Jubilees is going to have all 50 chapters, and you're going to be right there with me. Now, I'm going to tell you something. That's mine. Give it back. That is the Song of Moses. People say, is that a canon? It is a canon because it tells the author of who wrote it. And that it says it right there in the beginning of it, at the very first line, that this is the books and the tablets that Moses received while he was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. And it is correct. There's no variances off of it. I know the Sanhedrin, they're the ones that got rid of it when they got back from their captivity in Babylon. It didn't match what it says as the calendar. We read that in about 2 chapters ago, and it read about the calendar, and it said that you should have a 364-day calendar that will count the sun coming up over the edge of the earth, not go by the moons, and don't use the lesser light. And sure enough, it said that you will go wrong, and the people will adopt the moons and the various signs and will forget the days, and they will forget by 10 days. And when they got out of captivity in Babylon, they used a Babylonian calendar, and they rejected the Book of Jubilees because it did not match their 354-day calendar. They got it wrong by 10 days, and they stood by it. And the Sanhedrin are the ones that got rid of that calendar and got rid of the Book of Jubilees. And they sort of kept it all hidden and squashed, and it was the law of Moses. It's the Song of Moses. And if you're watching the King House of David series with me, there were just thousands of people hit that TikTok about King David, and that is just a super good series. It's coming on tomorrow night, and it's going to be about the Song of Moses, and I guarantee you it's going to be about this song right here, the Book of Jubilees, because it tells you everything that the Book of Genesis does. Oh, this is so good. So let me get right back to my pictures. And when I show you some of these pictures, I'm going to be using it's an old Bible my dad gave me, and it's a 1839 Prince James version. I think it says it right there. I took some pictures. 1839, yeah. This Bible is just on. I love this Bible. It's got the coolest maps in it, and maps don't lie. So if you like old Bible maps and you want to see something from the Prince James error. This is just super cool. You'll love that. I took a couple of pictures here, and that's me taking pictures of the Bible. See, we're reading right there. We're right there in Genesis, and that's the class we're taking right there at 8, and that's my little thing. That's this thing. This thing is cool. That's the Jordan Valley Rift, man. It's a big earthquake fault line that goes 1,400 feet into the sea. Let's see. I'm going to go right here. No, that one. It's the ancient world. There's an old map of the ancient world, and there it is sort of sideways because I can take it, but I'm going to zoom into it. So y'all watch. We're going to go right into the ancient world. This Noah and what he divided with his sons, and trust me, we're going to this, but it's what they're divided, how they divided the world. So I'm giving you a little front end story on that. Tubal, Magog, cut the G off, and I hate the way this thing does pictures because you can put it any way you want to, and it's going to cut the part you want off. All right. Let me get some water. Y'all loving this? This map is from Bible's from 1839. These maps, it says modern Jerusalem in one of them, and I'm like going, man, that's ancient Jerusalem to me. And then it has ancient Jerusalem. I'm going to show you something. This is so cool. Let me get to it. And I'm going to put these, for all of my subscribers, I'm going to find out how to put the pictures that I took of these maps. And that way y'all can go get to them. Now look, this is the temple right there in Jerusalem. And look what it says right there. That's the tomb of David. Now it's right over the palace right there. There's the temple. There's the palace. And there it says tomb of David right there. All right, check this picture out. This is modern Jerusalem. That one was ancient Jerusalem, and I think it says like in Roman miles. But there's the tomb of David. Watch it magically turn into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Keep in mind, there's the temple, there's the palace, tomb of David. There's the temple, there's the palace, and there's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre right there. Let me zoom into it. There it is. There's the temple, there's the palace, and the tomb of David turns into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So you can believe Constantine and the church and all that stuff, but they moved the tomb of David, and because it says it in the Bible, and David's sepulcher is among you, and he's dead and grave and all that stuff. So I think that's how the church does. I love this old Bible though, and old maps don't lie, and they're from the 1800s, and that's just the super coolest thing in the world when you can see and go, hey, you moved the grave right there, man. There's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and there, right there. Thank you so much for the gifts, and I'm building up, giving everybody a chance. You're going to want to go print the study guide off, and if you go to my bio page right there, was I supposed to be looking at questions? I think they only put the questions up there for a minute. Your team has completed the second stage of the quest. Yes, team, that's y'all and my moderators and all. I love y'all so much. Go print this off because this is super cool. And I made this one in color. It's got those towers of stone, and it's got all the map of time and stuff like that. So, all right. We're going. I'm getting it, and I'm going. We will get there. All about King David. I love it. I can't wait to read my long form comment and plug that one. I hope that's the blue one. Gigi, if that's the blue one, I hope that's the blue one. So, and keep going. Come on, get the pictures. Just talk too much. We're going to go talk about the ancient world of Noah. And I have no idea what y'all can see while I'm pushing these buttons. Hopefully it's me just panicking. Oh my gosh. Y'all, listen. This is a new game. It's the property of these people right here. And it's going to be a game like Xbox where you can run through this city and run through Jerusalem and run up to the temple. And my son, he's like 20, he just turned 26. And I was like, dude, get me on this. He goes, hey, it's a demo game. You can go watch it on YouTube. It's called, I can't think of it. I'll think of it in a minute. So cool. It's going to allow us to it's going to allow me to not, it's going to allow me to just run you right into the temple. I took some really cool pictures of that stuff, man. He's in there arguing. That's him by the, where Judas, where his guts came out and all that stuff. And then they took, I just can't wait to take y'all there. I'm sorry. I just stuttering so much. Have you watched The House of David yet? How about that? I have not only watched all 3 episodes of The House of David, but one of the couple of things that I want to point out in The House of David is, one, that's going to be the episode coming up tomorrow on March 6th. It says the Song of Moses. I can assure you it's going to be the Song of Jubilees, because this is the book that Moses wrote, and that's going to be what that's about. So you're going to love that episode. It says March 6th, so we're going to go with that. And that is the House of David series. And it does, man. It's got their graphics and all with David and Goliath. It is off the chain. I'm loving it. That's the little TV game. Hold on. I'm going. I like the way I'm actually getting pretty good to where I can do this. The one thing I want y'all to notice about the House of David. All right. It says that Jesse is David's father. And my wife, I've always said that Ruth, his great-great-grandmother, was a Moabite. She was never allowed. They were never allowed in the temple, the Moabites. And this is Jesse no longer sits with the elders. This is one scene. And just click right over. Since he fathered that bastard child by a daughter of the enemy, and I'm not really sure where they're going with that, but they're talking about David. And then, I love this. This is going to be this was in the last episode. And she goes, there was no copy of the law of Moses in the village. I know they're talking about the book of Jubilees. I know they are, because it tells them not to build the temple. An angel literally comes in and goes, do not build this place. And there was no copy of the law of Moses. I guarantee you that's what's coming up. All right, hang on. They go right there to the Valley of the Giants, and I'm going to show you all these places are just straight up in the Bible, man. Right there, that's the Valley of the Giants, is the Valley of Rephaim. I have to back away from the microphone a little bit. That's that place that they're going to, and they literally walk up and talk to Goliath, and that's while they're doing it. So they're yelling at David and his mother right here, you and your child defile the name of Jesse, and all of Bethlehem. And I mean, if you go see, the Philistines were in Bethlehem. And he asked his mom, am I cursed? And she says, no, David, you're not. Listen, I just want to give you a little front story on that. He's talking to his father right there. That's Jesse. And he said that the king takes all the things, just like the seer Samuel warned. He said that the people rejected God and wanted a king, and that's in the book of Samuel. So Samuel went and got a king, and God was like, you don't need to feel bad. They rejected me, not you. They wanted a king, so they got a king, and literally Israel should have never had a king. You can see that right there. All this Mason stuff right there, those are altars that are all chiseled out. I guarantee you they're all facing east and all that stuff, which is the book of Ezekiel says there. You should not face that. But that's the House of David, and I'm seeing it with such a different set of eyes. And I love David. Trust me, he is one of the guys that's, sort of maybe a necessary evil. But let's go back to splitting up the land. I got to tell you about this. We're getting ready to start talking about the book of Moses that they're all getting ready to be that next season about. And it's the book of Jubilees. Go print it down. Go print it off of my link tree. And it's got some great color pictures in it. And it's where he split up this land between Magog and Tubal and all that stuff. We're going to literally mention them by name. And these are some other stuff with Mesopotamia. You'll see us talk about Nineveh, and that's all right there, and that's the coast, and that's the king of Tyre. And these maps are all from that 1839 Bible that is the Prince James version. So I'm just literally going to love posting those up there. And these have so much information in them. Like I said, that's Nineveh. When you find out that the dude is supposed to be going to Nineveh, he was going across land, but he got on a boat and went the wrong way. And it's a complete, opposite thing you're supposed to do. Touch this other picture. This is in that Bible, and I didn't take the picture in black and white. It is in black and white. And you can see see that line? That's like a valley fault line. That's one of the divisions of Noah's property. This is Canaan. This is where he stopped. And this whole thing is in black and white. And it's right there, like this is the map next to it. And then Canaan's map is in black and white because he was just a total bad guy. Again, these maps are out of my 1839 Bible, my dad's. This thing is beat to, I'm sorry. This thing is beat to pieces. And you can just see it coming apart. I can hold it right there. Old. I love those things. And we're talking about the divisions of the land right here. And so the churches perverted the Bible. That right there. We're going to be talking about one of those divisions of the land. We were just on it. And I'm going to go over to the first part of the lesson. If you've downloaded the study guide, we're getting ready to start talking about that division of the land. We're reading out of the book of Jubilees. And we're going to start reading the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's one of that little map right there. That's one of the divisions of the land from Noah. And that fault line is 1,400 feet deep. That's where the Dead Sea Scrolls were, right there. So understand that when Noah divided and all the divided, it was from the river Gihon. And that river, nobody even knows what is the river Gihon. It's nowhere on the planet, okay? But Gihon Springs, the whole place that Jerusalem is built off of, which was a major, major water source, Gihon Springs is right there where it says Jerusalem, right there. And it goes downhill. That's 1,400 feet lower than sea level. So you can see 1,400 feet below sea level. If somebody cut a little ditch right there, that would fill up and the river would be 1,400 feet deep. And Jesus, that's Mount Hermon where the angels, the fallen angels descended. That's right where Jesus transcended, right there. And then that turns into the Jordan River. So the Mount Hermon is where the Jordan River springs, and it runs right down the Jordan River Valley Fault. And that fault line goes all the way down to Africa. And down through Africa and into the Red Sea. It's a really cool story. I'm going to tell you about that. We're going right here to chapter 8, and I got to get started with this stuff because I was just talking. We got 444 people in there. I love those. I love that. I'll tell you some kind of scripture with that. So much love you all. I do so much. I love you. Gog and Magog were fulfilled in 70 AD. You are so correct that we ran one of the laps around the clock in 70 AD. That was a day of great tribulation for sure. But it was all destroyed within that generation. But I sort of got a funny feeling we're running a couple of laps. And a lot of people saw what was supposed to be happening to the generations of their family. It talks about it in the Bible. It talks about that Jacob saw the generation, what was going to happen to generations. And I know David did because he got to see all the crucifixion. He wrote about it in Psalms 22 to the detail, even knew what Jesus was going to say on the cross. And Jesus repeated him. And they even knew that they were going to be I used to say gambling for his cloak, but it wasn't. They're casting lots, and that was voting. They were voting because they cast lots. You'll read in this one chapter right right here, they cast lots for the division of land, and they cast lots to see who was going to get, and it was voting. They were voting. So they were voting to see who was going to be the king. And just know that. They weren't gambling. They were holding a vote to see who the next king was going to wear that cloak was, because they knew that was the one. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This little, if you print that out, that thing right there, those are two stones that are on the map of time. And on my link tree, the map of time is off the chain. I tell you what, if you got 20-something feet that you can spread this thing out with, but it's literally something you'd need to read almost with a magnifying glass. And the map of time is amazing. And it's cheaper on YouTube, on Amazon than it is on the TikTok shops. I can tell you that. It's by about $20. Oh no, they probably shut me off for that. They will. They shut me down for everything. You can get on here and do the craziest stuff in the world, and I can say one little word, and they go, oh my gosh. Yeah, you can go to my link tree, go to my bio page, go to my link tree, go to my Amazon links, and my favorite Bibles are there. I got a new Bible, this Bible for people. It's like $30 Bible. Super, super cool this Bible is when you go to my Amazon links. I think Jill got this specifically for one of the viewers, and it's a red letter Bible full of pictures and a commentary that's in the bottom of every one of the page. That's on my bio page, link tree, download. Those Bibles are cool. I've got one of those that's the this one is the Thompson Chain Reference Bible. It's $100, okay? I mean, I wouldn't say go buy this. I bought it because it has a bunch of maps and stuff in the back of it. But if you'll just subscribe to my page, I'm going to start putting all that stuff for my subscribers so you don't have to go buy all that stuff. I'll buy all of it for you and put those pictures. And I want you to use those pictures in your work so that you can post them. And I want you to be able to build content off of these too. Now, those two stones right there, it says that they were, let me see if I can find that real quick right there. These were put up by Methuselah, Noah, and Shem. And if it says that the year before the flood, inscribed on two pillars, the history and the discovery of the world withstood in Moses' time, 777 years after, one of stone for the water, one of brick for fire. And Methuselah talked with Adam 243 years. Right there. In that part. I'll stop. You know what? I'll move away. I'll move my microphone. And he learning the words of history. The worlds of history from the beginning, and he wrote it on these two pillars, the books of Moses, and had access to these books. And that's written by Japheth, and you'll read right here in this next book. Oh, I want to tell you something. It shows these things where they're real tall, and I mean, Moses and not Moses, Noah and them lived for like 700, 800 years and all that stuff. And I went to the replica of the ark. And if you ever been on a boat and went under the deck of the boat, and have you ever noticed how there's hardly any headroom, like on any boat you ever go into? There's not like, man, daggone, I have like 8 foot of headroom. Well, not only do I think these people were 15 foot tall, but the ark was only 3 floors tall, and it was 45 foot tall. So that means each floor was 15 foot. And if you were 15 foot tall, that's about how tall you would be if you were riding on that, because these dudes are like 6 foot tall, and there are 3 of them, they would be like that. And they would ride on that. And so I think that those dudes were big. And, you know, whenever Moses sent the spies out after the flood, they were like, man, we saw these giants and they made us look like grasshoppers. So, you know, it's not like they weren't giants. And when you start reading about King David, there was Goliath. We're getting ready to watch that whole thing. So if you want to say there weren't giants, yeah, there were giants, and they were evil people, man. And they were like, probably didn't have great brains, you know, because they're descendants of the fallen angels. And I don't know, bad people. But anyway, that's a blow up of this picture. And the reason I'm showing you, that's some good columns, because Methuselah, Noah, and Shem did those. But this book mentions two other columns, and it's right there, the books that are from the Watchers. So let me read this real quick, and I'm going to read right down, starting right there. Excuse me. Jubilees 8, the earth divided into three parts for Shem and Ham and Japheth. In the 29th Jubilee, in the first week, 1373 a.m., that's after man was made. In the beginning thereof, Aprashad took to himself a wife, and her name was Rishijah, and the daughter of Susan, and the daughter of Elam, and she bare him a son in the third year in this week, 1375 after man, and he called his name Canon. Okay, listen, I'm going to do the best I can with saying these words, but I am totally from Georgia, and I couldn't say them anyway. I don't care if I was from New York City or something like that. I don't know. And the son grew, and his father taught him writing, and he went to seek for himself a place where he might seize for himself a city. That's awesome. Son, go seize you a city. You'll find out that Nineveh and all that were built when after the flood. They sure were. They were built before the flood. And he found a writing which former generations had carved on the rock, and he read that what was thereon, and he transcribed it and sinned owing to it, for it contained the teachings of the Watchers, in accordance with which they used to observe the omens of the sun and the moon and the stars and all the signs of heaven. Okay. What'd you find? I found a rock written by the Watchers, and I didn't tell Noah why, because he's the leader, and he would probably tell us it's a bad thing. And I don't know. You read it right there. He found rocks similar to those written by the Watchers, which were in existence, telling them how to keep up with time. And the Babylonians definitely recorded that. They kept up with time with the stars and the moons and all that stuff. And those are like the Watchers. They're the fallen stars. All right, I'm checking for comments, but I'm reading too. I love y'all so much. Thank you so much for joining me. And it means so much for me to be able to read y'all the book of Jubilees in the Jubilee year. This is the Jubilee year, and they're every 50 years. And that people say, he opened the doors on the Jubilee and all that. That Pope, what's his name is? He ain't got it right. It's every 50 years. It says it in Leviticus, man. Supposed to ring the Liberty Bell every 50 years and release all men from his indebtedness and his slaves and all that stuff. And I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And he wrote it down and said nothing regarding it. And he was afraid to speak to Noah about it, lest he should be angry with him on account of it. If I read that before, it's because I've read this a couple of times in my head and put the pictures to it, so I get vujade. And in the 13th Jubilee, 1429, in the second week of the first year thereof, he took himself a wife, and her name was Melika, and the daughter of Medea, and the son of Japheth. And in the fourth year, 1432, after man, he begot a son, and called his name Shelah. And he said, truly, I have been sent. All right. That went down a rabbit hole today. Sheila is almost the same word that David spurts out like about every, I don't know, man. You'll see him reading the Psalms and all that stuff, and and it's supposed to be a rest or a break in the music when he's playing his harp. And y'all know what I just said about David and his harp and all that stuff. And Jubal Cain, he is the father of all who handle the harp. And of course we know who Tubal Cain is. And Jubal Cain, he was his brother's cousin. So. But anyway, what was I going to tell y'all about that? It was David, and he was playing his harp. Oh, and he kept saying Sheila in the middle of his psalms. You know, if you get into a panic and you want to just see, I'm supposed to open the Bible. You're supposed to open it right in the middle. I'm opening my Bible right in the middle. And if you open most Bibles right to the middle, it opens to the book of Psalms. So it's literally right in the middle. Is it supposed to be there? No, the book of Job is probably one of the ones before that, but it's supposed to be that you can open the Psalms. And all the way through it, about halfway through it, some of the things it gets out, Selah. And that means, truly, I have been sent. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, thank you for being here and taping the screen, sending gifts and all that stuff. Thank you, Gigi. She pinned her own comment. She's so awesome. That's my wife. Thank you so much for sending the gifts. Thank you so much for being the subscribers. I really do need that. I need the help into getting me to the point to where I can quit what I'm doing. It took a minute for me to get these books printed, and I do them every week, and I'm going to keep doing them. But I tell you what, I certainly appreciate every bit of it, and I know it's not much, but I am going to send all my subscribers, I'm going to send them one of my $2 bills right there, Mark 222 on there, because this is new wine, and we're putting it into some new wine skins, and that's what that scripture says, Mark 222 on that $2 bill. And I'm going to do that to all my subscribers. I really will. I'll get it. She'd yell at me. I'm going to spend the money. And in the 4th year was born, Shelah grew up and took to himself a wife, and her name was Muak, and the daughter of Kesed, his father's brother, and on 1/30th of the Jubilee in the 5th week, and on the 1st year thereof. And she bare him a son. I'm going to read this bottom sentence right here. And she bare him a son in the 5th year thereof, and called his name Eber, and he took unto himself a wife, and her name was Azurad, and the daughter of Nebrod, and the 32nd Jubilee of the 7th week in the 3rd year thereof, in 1564 after man. I'm going to tell you something. I love how these people have put the dates all through it. This is all the generations that we're reading through, and these are off the map of time right here. And these are the generations. I've got some better pictures that I'll show you, and you can see as we go through. I've zoomed in. This is the next page, and we haven't gotten there yet, but it's a zoom in on this map of time, and it's where the Tower of Babel. If you want any of these things, the study guide, if you want to download that, is right there on my bio page in my link tree. It's study guide number 8. I download all of them. It's actually a pretty cool series. And if you want to see some of the old videos, go to my YouTube page, and you can see all of the last season's last episodes. They're an hour and a half long. If you like long content and want to hear me talk for that long, and the pictures and all of this stuff, if you want to see that map, is on my Amazon links, and my favorite Bibles are there, and all of these that's the map of time, and it's like $60. I think it's like 50 or $60, but I think it's like $20 more on TikTok. So let me go back one more picture. We're going back here. All right, that is that part right there. Okay, and I'm going to put my head in front of it. I started putting the pictures here so I could put my head in front of it, but you can see how all of these columns and all this stuff, and this is all on the map of time. This is so cool. Last page. I put all that stuff. If you print it out, you can go see all that ancient maps. I did. That's the very last page. That's where we're going. We'll be reading that in just a minute. I know it. I need to stay focused. See, and I put the picture here, so my head's not in the way. I love y'all so much. Let me turn my page. Thank you so much for being in the room. Thank you so much for all the gifts. And if y'all have got any questions before I turn the page, do y'all like the way that they lay this out and they put the dates and it tells you when it is, and you know what generations that they are? This is just Uncle Greg. I love that. Hey, you know what? I get that all the time. Who's that flat earth dude? They call me his uncle or his granddaddy or something like that. We love you and your family. I love y'all. You know I say that all the time, and I really do mean it. And I do thank you so much. I love y'all. I want y'all to know this because, you may get asked a question like by an angel, and Jesus asked the Pharisees, and he said, if you didn't know the answer to that question right there, you could have saved the sacrifice, and they didn't. They didn't know the right answers, man. It's literally your uncle. Oh, man, all right. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, that's Jordan. Hey, Jordan, I love you, man. You know what? That kid, I say that kid, he's daggone 30 years old. He's got a cool truck now, but he knows the Bible so good. And I remember he was, he taught me a lot about the Bible. I was talking about King David, and he goes, yeah, but Saul, he was so-and-so. And he set me straight when I first got going. I love Jordan, man. I think that's him. Hey, amen. Love y'all. Let's go. I'm going to read some more. And this is the book of Jubilees. Like I said, it was right there in the Dead Sea Scrolls. They found more copies of this than Genesis, and they found more copies of Enoch 1 than Genesis and Exodus. No, you can just take that. And Enoch 1, that's a good book. It's right there on my bio page. You can go download it. It's about 35 pages. It is Genesis 6:4, which is about the fallen angels, and then it stops. Okay? Enoch 2 through 5, which is what they have to put in the book to sell you something, because they can't sell you a 30-page little book that would be this thick. They have to put all this stuff in it. And there's all kinds of notations that say, this is sort of guess. You can just see it. Just too fantastical. Noah, he's got white hair and blue eyes, and he walks on the water or whatever he does. It's just like, oh, okay. They put that in there just to distort Enoch 1. And Enoch 1 was like, whoever wrote Genesis 6:4 and decided that all that we needed to talk about were the Nephilim were in Genesis 6 verse 4, and we're going to cover the whole thing in one verse. All right. You know what? I'm glad they wrote it. Enoch, man, it says that he's in the Garden of Eden. We read that last week. So they conducted him into the Garden of Eden, where he writes the tribulations of the earth of these days. All right. These things are hot, and they don't help me talk at all. Plus, I'm deaf, and I just doesn't work. I love everybody out there. I really do. Because you know what? Jesus said, they asked him what the great commandment was. And he said, thou shalt love thy Father in heaven above with all thy heart and all thy soul and all thy mind. And thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And upon those two commandments hang all the law and all the prophets. It's so easy, man. You should love God and you should love your neighbor as yourself. And upon those two commandments hang all the law and all the prophets. So, you know, if you do those two things, you won't break any of what they call the 10 Commandments. And you just need to know that. Thank you so much to all the tappers. Katie Nicole, that's my other moderator. She's so awesome, and they just help me out so much. My sons are helping me load up my computer, and with the Zoom call thing, I got a new laptop computer. It's a whole $200 one, but it'll work. And it'll get me to where I can have a Google Drive, and I can take my movies that I took in Washington, D.C., and in the Bible Museum and the other travels that I've done, and I can load them on Google Drive, and we can Zoom, and I can play those movies while we talk about them just like this. That's where I'm going with this. But y'all have to be patient with me because I'm old as Moses. Pow, I'm going to go right there. And in the 6th year, 1567 a.m., thereof she bare him a son, and called his name Peleg. And in the days when he was born, the children of Noah began to divide the earth amongst themselves. For this reason he is called his name Peleg. And they divided it secretly among themselves, and told it to Noah. So the earth gets divided a couple of times. In the next chapter, they all start walking down the street to their own thing, their own piece of the earth, and Canon, he decides, hey, dude, I'm stopping right here, and they all freak out and like, you can't do that, you made a covenant, and that's, I think that's next week. That's so cool, man. And they said, you made a covenant, and all your children will be cursed, and they were, and they are, and that land was known as Canon. And it came to pass in the beginning of the 33rd Jubilee, 1569 a.m., that they divided the earth into 3 parts for Shem and Ham and Japheth, according to the inheritance of each. In the first year, in the first week, when one of us who had been sent was with them. When one of us who had been sent was with them. Man, I'm going to point that out every time I read something just like that, because it talks about him being with them through these different phases, and it's just cool, man. They're talking about Moses, and like when they saw Moses and all this, he saw that. I think King David saw that. I know Jacob saw all the generations and what was going to happen. I just think that some of those people got confused and thought that hey, this isn't going to happen in 1,000 years. This is going to be my son, or this is going to be my generation, or my thing, and it wasn't. And they did some things incorrectly, Jacob and David. I mean, people go, well, David was a man after God's own heart. He was, man. I mean, he was. And Jacob was told never to build that place. And Satan was actually such a favored angel that he was kicked out of heaven as one of the favored angels. So, I mean, I guess, you can lose it. And I don't want to beat on David, but I want you to know that he did live on Mount Zion, on top of the mountain of God. His temple that he had built for his son was 110 feet in elevation under that. So it was the footstool to David. Before he captured Mount Zion, which is the city of David, those are quotes right out of the Bible, he had the lame and the blind slayed. And one of the first things Jesus did when he walked into that same place at the same temple on the same mountain is that he cured and healed the lame and the blind. And David had them slayed, which were hated of his soul. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I don't think, and I know that David wasn't always like that, but I think that he changed a little bit and convinced those people of some things. I'll get off track so bad. I'm sorry about that. When y'all watch the House of David and all that thing, just know that he did all of those things and built that temple 1,000 years before Jesus came. In the book of Gad in 2 Samuel or 2 Corinthians, where it says that you should read the book of Gad. That's the book of Dad. If you read the book of Gad, and it's the only book that I've ever read that says a chapter called the millennial reign, and it was 1,000 years of King David, after King David. So let me keep going. I don't want to get too far off track. Where was I? And he called them sons, and he called his sons, and they drew nigh to him, and they and their children, and he divided the earth into lots, which his 3 sons were to take in possession, and they reached forth in their hands, and they took the writing out of the bosom of Noah and their father. Okay, so they took these lots, and it was described on there. And there came forth on the writing as Shem's lot, the middle of the earth, which should take inheritance for himself and for his sons and for the generations in eternity. From the middle of the mountain range of Rapha, from the mouth of the water of the river Tina, and his portion goes towards the west, towards the midst of the river, which extends till it reaches the water of the abysses, out of which the river goes forth and pours its waters into the sea of meat, and this water flows into the great sea. And all of that towards the north is Japheth, and all towards the south belongs to Shem. I'm going to tell you, let me go to a map real quick and show you something right there. That's on the study guide, and I'm going to zoom into right there. That's on the next page if you're on the study guide. I pushed that one. There's Magog right there. There's Tubal. There's Canon. And I'm going to show you, this is the one thing. This is the Jordan Valley Rift, man. There's where the fallen angels descended right there. That's where Mount Hermon is. That's the Jordan Valley Rift right there. That is that earthquake zone right there. That black line right there. Look how it goes down into the Red Sea. And right down to there. And it describes a river Gihon that goes right down that same way and then circles back up to here. I'm just telling you, it's a little, it does move my head. It shows, see how that black line goes down to here, and then there's a river like goes back up here. It's getting ready to describe it right here. And so let's go back. And I just want you to know that is a river fault line. That's in an earthquake fault line. And there was recorded earthquakes. This is a 140-story building. By the way, man, that's huge. That's almost like the Empire State Building. That's how deep the Dead Sea is from the normal water level, from sea level right here. It's 1,400 feet deep. So there used to be There probably was a bigger river there, and a big earthquake opened that up and swallowed it up. And now the water just runs into this dead sea, and the water is dead. The water is dead. It's the river of life. And Guyon Springs, oh my gosh. Let me tell you, Guyon Springs was a spring that the water sprung out of the ground. And I lived in an RV park when me and my wife, we lived in an RV for 2 years. And boy, I mean to tell you what, if you ever want to reset your life, you go move into 400 square feet of RV, and that'll tighten you right up. But one of the things that we lived next to was this right here. And you see how the ground swells down? This is a natural spring. Okay, and it was like under a foot or so. Let me see if I can reset this goal. I want y'all, there's no motors or nothing. This thing runs 24/7, and that's like 20-something. You see how big that chairs are? It's huge. It's huge. Let's see. Can you see it there? You can see it right there. She said to reset this live goal. Thank you for helping me reach all of my live goals. Set up a new one. I'm going to do it. Give me a minute. Confirm. I did it. Thank you so much for all your help. It's going to get me to where I can do this full time, and that's all I want to do, because I was going to tell you, one of y'all might get asked by an angel a question, and I want you to have the right answer, because you could just save the whole world by knowing the right answer. Hey, listen, this was Guyon Springs. And there's no telling what they're going to ask you. And it says, that you should always know that you could be talking to an angel and not even know it. I lived right here. I lived right up on that hill. And they dug the lake out so that this could be, and it had a sliding board that went all the way around it. This thing's super cool. And my wife can tell you stories when they would go around the sliding board around this thing. It's called Wekiva Falls RV Resort. And you can go there, and that's water gushing up out of the ground. And I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons. And it turns into the Wekiva River, which ironically is one of the only rivers that ties into the St. Johns River that runs backwards. Not one of the only. It's like a couple of rivers in the world that runs backwards, runs uphill. And so it's because of the water coming out of here. And that's what Guyon Springs were in Jerusalem. So they built these different pools. And they built these different pools in Jerusalem to capture this water. Now, the reason that I put this picture here is that level is the height of the ground. You see it? If they built that concrete tube up 4 more feet, the water wouldn't have enough pressure to come out of it. It would stop it. And that's what they did when they made those pools in Jerusalem. And when Hezekiah dug his tunnels, they diverted this water into these pools, and they ruined the natural water flow of the Guyon, and they've diverted it into the temple. And I think it says that if you raise that to where the water can't come out of it, and made like a pool, and it had enough head pressure, that it would seek another source and go somewhere else. And I don't know, man. Jesus, they probably got put away by those people enough, and went to go seek it somewhere else. All right, I got to get back to that page. I sure had to. I got way off of the subject. I love y'all, though, and thank you for putting up with me, because it's my class, and I can get off right there. And there came from forth. Oh. Did I read that? It's a big one. I am. And there came forth on riding as Shem's lot from the middle of the earth, which should not take as the inheritance for herself and for her sons. I read that. And it extends till it reaches Carasso, and on the bosom of the tongue which looks towards the south. And his portion extends along the great sea, and it extends into a straight line, and it looks towards the west of the tongue which looks towards the south. From this sea is named the tongue of the Egyptian sea. I know that sounds confusing, and I'm trying my best to read that, but I'm going to point these places out for you on this map. And it turns out from here towards the south in the mouth of the great sea on the shore of its waters, and it extends to the west of Aphra, and it extends into the great reaches of the water of the river Gihon. And to the south of the waters of Gihon, reaches of the water of the river Gihon. And to the south of the waters of Gihon, to the banks of this river. That's what I was just talking about. The Gihon Springs used to be up here. All right, let's stray away from that for a second. We're at the end of a page. We're getting ready to go to this page. And that page doesn't have much words on it, but let me flip it so that I can know where we're going. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for staying in this room and all of your gifts. Thank you so much for all those likes. Team, let's get the trumpet 250K. Please do give me all those goals because I don't know what they are. They allow me to give subscriptions to people, and those subscriptions support me, and I certainly appreciate it. And I know it's going to set us back a little bit, but I don't have that many subscribers. Every one of my subscribers, I'm going to try to find a way to reach out to y'all to get an address, and I'm going to send y'all one of my $2 bills. I had a little stamp and just stamp it and pop, and I'm going to have y'all because y'all are all on the new wine. Hey, this is, and that's what that scripture was, is you can't put new wine in an old wineskin. You start talking about the book of Jubilees to old Pentecostal preachers and what have you, and it just makes their eyes start twitching, and that's cool. I love them to death, and it's when you read it and you show them that it's a parallel, they don't really have a problem, but I just love them, and they're very supportive of me, and I really do appreciate all of them and their recognition and their support of me. My wife's family is just so gifted, and Jordan was on here just a minute ago. Those people have such a base knowledge of faith, man. I mean, I tell my wife, I'll never have it like you got it, man. She's amazing. This map of time right here, this is when the deluge was. This is how many years before it is to the birth of Christ. It says it right there. This is just a wealth of information. There's the Tower of Babel. There's the Ark right here. These are the words that Methuselah and Noah and Shem that they supposedly left, but nobody's ever seen those things, and I can imagine anybody ever find them, they'd be destroyed. But I do know that the book of Jubilees existed, and I know that it made it through the test of time and was found just like the book of Daniel said that it would in chapter 12 when it says, "Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end." And me personally, I think that's exactly what this book says, and I don't know. Enoch was found too, and Enoch 1, man, the first thing right out of the book of Enoch, that'll get you. Right here. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and the righteous, who will be living in the days of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. Wow. There you go, hot dog. That's what it's when all those people are to be removed, and that's the great tribulation. And I'm not going to get off that thing right there. I go to Texas with that one. Right here, I'm going to start reading. And it extends towards the east until it reaches the Garden of Eden. Pow. Man, I'm going to tell you what, that Gihon River, it says that it reaches towards the Garden of Eden, and that is paradise. And I literally saw that verse in the Bible today, and Jesus was talking to the man on the thief on the cross, and he said, "For today I will see you in paradise." And if the Gihon Spring and all of that stuff, and when he descended, I don't know, man. It's all things that we need to keep in our minds so that when we see things, knowledge is good. I'm not telling you, hey, go make a belief out of everything that you see. No, man, just load your gun with it, keep it in there, and all of a sudden you go, hey, that's sort of connected to this better than that. And that's what I want for you to do. Let me start reading. And it said toward and it extends toward it, and it reaches to the Garden of Eden, to the south thereof, and from the east the whole land of Eden, and to the whole east, and it turns to the east, and proceeds till it reaches the east of the mountain named Rapha, and it descends to the bank of the mouth of the river Tena. And the portion forth by the lot of Shem and his sons, that they should possess it forever unto the generations forevermore. And Noah rejoiced that this portion came forth for Shem and for his sons. So it wasn't like he picked these out. They evidently were on these lots, and he said, hey, you pick them, and he was happy that Shem got that piece for his sons, and he remembered all that he had spoken with his mouth in his prophecy. And he blessed, and he said, blessed be Yahweh Almighty of Shem, and may Yahweh dwell in the dwelling of Shem. And he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Kodesh of the Kodeshim, and the dwelling of Yahweh, and the Mount Sinai, and the center of the desert, and the Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. These three were created Kodesh places. All right, let's see. There was the Garden of Eden, Mount Sinai, and Mount Zion. These three were created Kodesh places. How? Mount Zion, and the same as the city of David. And the verse right up above that said the river Gihon. Right there. And it said that these are the three main places. And he blessed the Almighty of gods who had put the word of Yahweh in his mouth, and Yahweh forevermore. Hey, I'm not trying to change the way of anybody thinking. I'm just trying to say, open your minds, because we've been told something for so long, and I read these things, and that's why I put the scriptures right behind me. I'm like, I want you to read this, man. I don't want to tell you this story, and you go, man, you tell that story different than I got to. Let me read this to you. People comment on and I go, hey, listen, man, that ain't my version of it. I'm literally reading to you what's behind me. This was in the Dead Sea Scrolls. This was with all the other books sealed up for 2,000 years. And I mean, the church didn't want you to know this. The Sanhedrin said, we don't want this book in circulation, the book of Jubilees. And this is the Jubilee year, and I'm reading the book of Jubilees, man, and we are. I just think it's an amazing read. This is, I love these maps. Oh, I've been on, you know what, I got to put my puzzle right there. Pow. That means I've been on for an hour. You know what? I thank you so much. I'm going to look right there. If y'all have any questions, ask me, because I have questions. I mean, we're sitting here looking at the Gihon spring, knowing that somebody could have made that into a pool and killed it and stopped the water. That's why all those people were laying by that pool waiting for something to happen, and that was directly connected to, gosh, I don't know, spring goes down into the earth a long way, man. That's living water. That water runs out of there, smells like sulfur real bad, but it's cold too. But I'd go down there. You can go down there swimming in it. I love that. You should go down to that thing and go swimming in there. It's cool as it can be. And, you go to some of these things and they're hot springs. So it just makes me wonder how deep and all this stuff is in the world. I changed my map. I love y'all so much. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for subscribing. Winning Wellness Love. You keep glitching. Am I glitching? You know what happens? My glasses sometimes, because I have a white beard and my hair's white, it does the white background, so I do glitch a little bit. I'm sorry. And my glasses, when they reflect the light, that makes me like that. Y'all, thank you so much for staying with me. Thank you so much. My sons are doing great jobs getting me on the YouTube, getting the stuff put onto there, and helping me get my other things so that I can do my Zoom classes that I want to do with y'all. I can show you movies. I can't show you a movie on here unless they approve it or something, and it don't work. All right, I'm going to read that right there, and we're going to get right through this. And he knew that the blessed portion and the blessing had come to Shem and his sons unto the generations forever in the whole land of Eden. Right there in the whole land of Eden. Man, we just said that. Mount Zion, the land of Eden, and the whole land of the Red Sea. That's right there. Right there. In the whole land of the Red Sea, and the mountains thereof, and all the land of Bashan, and all the land of Lebanon, and the island. That's right where Canaan stopped, in the land of Lebanon too, and decided and the islands of Kaftur, and all the mountains of Senir and Amina, and the mountains of Ashur in the north, and the land of Elam, Ashur, and Babel, and Susan, and Media, and all the mountains of Ariat, and all the region beyond the sea, which is beyond the mountains of Ashur, toward the north, blessed and spacious land, all that is in very good. I will tell you something. When you look these places up, you can ask ChatGPT, where is these places? They'll tell you pretty close to it. But if you zoom into some of those places right there, you can see some of those names they mentioned. Aram, Sidon, they mentioned Nineveh, and Canaan. That's the guy. That's one of the cities. There's Cush, and there's Egypt, and there's Magog. When they get Magog, and there's Moscow. Way there at the top of the screen, that's Moscow. So that's how close they are to that. I got to go back. Now. I hate this guy. And for Ham came forth the second portion beyond the Gihon, towards the south, to the right of the garden, right down there. And it extends towards the south, and it extends all the mountains of fire. That's all in Africa, the mountains of fire. And it extends towards the west to the Sea of Atel, and it extends towards the west till it reaches the Sea of Makuk, and that sea, which is everything into which everything which is not destroyed descends. What? That's that place right there. He said, right that strip of land right there along that Gihon, and that's the Jordan River Valley Rift. That thing is this thing. But look at it, right? Look at it right there. Well, the Dead Sea is 1,400 feet below sea level. That's what Ham got. We're zooming right through this. These things have all been about 6 pages, all had about 30-something verses in them, and they are just so cool. But, man, I want y'all to help me with this Gihon thing, man. Georgia Peaches. I love Georgia Peaches. That's my white GT6 pack right there. You know what? We love Georgia Peaches. You bring all of them you got. 23. And it goes forth towards the north to the limits of Gader, and it goes forth to the coast of the waters of the sea of the waters of the great sea till it draws near to the river Gihon, and goes along the river Gihon till it reaches to the right of the Garden of Eden. Y'all heard that? That it runs along the Gihon and reaches right of the Garden of Eden. All right, hold on. I have no idea what y'all see when I'm doing this, but this is the Dead Sea. That's the Gihon Springs right up there. A spring of water that comes out of the mountains. Okay? Am I still glitching? Am I doing okay? Y'all tell me. In my voice, where would this be? This is Israel. This is Jerusalem right there. And you're fine. You're good. Love y'all. That's Jerusalem right there. The Gihon Springs and the city of David, Mount Zion's right there. They found the Dead Sea Scrolls. there. All right? That's 1,400 feet, a 140-story building below sea level, right there. So the ocean, if you were to cut a little ditch right through that mountain right there, would fill this up, and it would be 1,400 feet deep on your little boat depth meter. And you go, wow. And that's the Salt Sea. And that goes all the way up the Jordan River. Jesus walked on the water right there. And that's the Sea of Galilee. And that's the Jordan River where he got baptized. And right past that is the river that comes out of the bottom of Mount Hermon where the fallen angels descended. All of that river starts right there where the fallen angels descended on Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon's also the place where Jesus Christ transcended in front of the disciples, and he said, this is my beloved son in who I am well pleased. Now listen, the word David means beloved. My grandson's named David, so I love David. Okay, but he would have said, this is my one and only David in who I am well pleased. And to me, it was sort of setting the record straight. Hey, this is the beloved son, not the guy that took that name and put it on his head. Let me go back to my book. Back to it. Y'all bear with me. Oh, that's where we are. And for somebody to know that that spring of water used to be a big water source, and this is a earthquake fault line, and this, I mean, when Jesus was crucified, the ground split and the rocks rent and the graves were opened and the bodies of many dead saints got out of the graves and walked through the city streets of Jerusalem and were seen by many. Bow, that's in Matthew. And so that's a fault line. That's an earthquake fault line right there. So that's where it's going to split. And it's already 1,400 feet deep. So no telling when they built that pool right there what they did with the water and the water flow. When did I read that? I'm almost done. And this land which came forth from Ham as the portion which he was to occupy forever for himself and his sons unto the generations forever. I'm going to tell you something. In the next chapter, he stops in the wrong spot. He stops like right there. That's why they call it Canaan. Canaan does. And even Ham, he goes on down into Africa where it says Cush and all that stuff. But Ham's like, Canaan goes, no, man, I'm hanging right here. And we learned last week that Canaan, he's a special character, man. He is the product of, I don't know. How did y'all all feel about that? I don't like saying things like that. When it says that Ham saw his father's nakedness in the book of Leviticus, says to see your father's nakedness is to see his wife's nakedness. And then all of a sudden he wakes up, sees what Ham did, and he cursed the product of he cursed Ham's son. That was Naaman. You get a couple of different names in the Bible for these people, and people had a couple of wives. If you go to the Noah's Ark Museum, it says Emezra, and then it says that Naaman, Tubal-Cain's sister, was Noah's wife. And I think she was maybe like, if she was like his second wife. So these are all in color, and these are, when y'all put these together, these are going to make a great map. These are from either the Map of Time. These pictures right here are from the 1839 Bible. And I'm going to put these works into my subscribers. So please, y'all will get them. I just got to figure out how to work that. Katie is going to help me, I'm sure. Let me read this as the last bit right here. I think we're almost finished. Yeah, and this is going to explain just a little bit more about how they divided up the land and what they did whenever they got off the ark right there. And for Japheth came forth the third portion beyond the river Tina, and I couldn't find the river Tina anywhere, so they have changed some of these things, and to the north outflow of its waters, and it extended northeasterly to the whole region of Gog, and to the country east whereof. Now, I'm going to tell you something. To the region of Gog, and I have a lot of people go, well, Gog was this, and Magog. Gog and Magog were regions, and that is saying Gog, and that is Magog right there. So this the region of Gog, and all the country east thereof. And it extends northerly to the north, and it extends to the mountains of Kelt towards the north and towards the Sea of Makuk. And I believe that is that Caspian Sea right there too. And it goes towards Gadir as far as the region of the water of the sea. And it extends until it approaches the west of Farah, and it returns until Afrig, and it extends easterly to the waters of the Sea of Meat. I'm sorry, the Sea of Meat, I believe, is that Caspian Sea right there. I did research that. And it extends to the region of the River Tina in the northeasterly direction until it approaches the boundaries of the waters towards the mountain Rapha, and it turns round towards the north. I mean, I just read that, and I'm really good with maps, but I feel like I was just hopping on one of those. I would fall down from being confused. And let's see. To the north. And this is the land which came forth for Japheth. And that's all the north, is basically what it is. And this is the land that came forth for Japheth and his sons of the portions of his inheritance, which he shall possess for himself and his sons, and for their greater generations, 5 great islands and great lands. Right. And the great land in the north. But it is cold, and in the land of Ham is hot. And the land of Shem is neither hot nor cold, but it is a blended cold and heat. So Shem got the gut right through the middle of it. Ham got all of the part that was down south, and Japheth got the north. Yes, ma'am?
When you get a chance, can you post that yellow map by itself with where your head's not in front of it?
What is it?
The yellow map, can you post that by itself?
Yeah, I will. We're going to go to that because that's the division.
That way they can screenshot it. Move your head out of the way.
Yeah, screenshot that right there. Let me get my head out of the way. Screenshot that. That is a cool map. You know what? I got a couple of them, man. Let me get out. Y'all screenshot that. That. That one's pretty cool too. All right. That one's going to be hard to zoom into, but that is the whole map of the descendants of Noah. And then that's a little bit closer. Sorry. That's a good one. That's got Tubal. See it up there? Tubal, Nineveh right there in the middle. I love these maps, man. There it is. Now, this is off Google Earth. But you can see the Jordan River Valley fault line from Mount Hermon. It goes right there. And then goes all the way down, and then this river goes back up. And they described this river out to that sea and then back up. They described that right there as going down into Florida, and goes down into Africa, into the mountains of fire, and then it comes back up. I'm not saying that's the Guion River, but that fault line is that fault line right there. That is that. And that is 1,400 feet deep. A 140-story building would go in there, and it's that far below sea level. So, yeah. Let me get, you know what? We finished reading that, and if there's any questions, there's got to be a ton of questions and about these things, and I might not can answer some of them because it's a new wine, and we're all sort of tasting it going, this is not unbelievable. There is an earthquake fault line. It is 1,400 feet. It's the lowest place on Earth. The Dead Sea is the lowest place on Earth of the surface of the water. Okay, the lowest sea level is 1,400 feet below. So if somebody dug a little ditch right there, that thing would fill up. I tell you what, Africa, the Sahara Desert, that's like 400 feet below sea level. The desert is 400 feet below sea level. If somebody dug a ditch through one of the mountains right there, one of the little tunnels or some subway car was to flood, it would fill up the Sahara Desert and it would be a 400-foot deep ocean. Oh, I got ChatGPT to check it out, and it will only drop the level. If you filled up the Dead Sea and the Sahara Desert to sea level, it would only drop the water height by like 3/4 of an inch. And I don't know, man. You know what? You can believe ChatGPT if you want to. I think, let's see. I got some cool pictures I wanted to show y'all. Again, those maps that were out of that 1839. You might want to screenshot that. That's my dad's old Bible, 1839. So when I read it, that's my thumb. I thought it was my head. Bow. It's a Prince James version. Sorry about that. I know that stuff's up there in the way. But it says some really cool things about who it was written for and how many copies they wrote. And like I said, we're reading Jubilees chapter 8, and it reads right along with the Bible. So it's not like it's unheard of. Oh, I know what. Y'all want to see that about the city of David. This is the ancient world maps, and let's go to Jerusalem so you can see where they moved the tomb of David. Constantine did this. These maps catch him right here. That's a zoom into that map right here. Click, click, click. I'm sorry. That's a good idea, Gigi. Thank you for, she's a Gigi. J-I. There's Magog. There's Tubal. There's, that's Japheth. Shem was supposed to be right through here, and then Ham was supposed to get that and south. But his son Canon, he stopped halfway and was like going, nah. And that's either next week or the week after that. And like next week, I think they build the Tower of Babel. I think that's next week. But this is so cool. It's such an easy thing to teach. And all of my books are free that you can get. The ones where I print these Jubilee study guides out, they're all free. All right. Y'all take a picture of that. Take a picture of this. Pow. That was cool, man. That's got Mesopotamia in there. Again, that's a different shot of Nineveh. That talks a lot about where Japheth and all got that. And you can see the city of Tyre. This is Assyria. Let's go. Let's zoom in on Mesopotamia. We go. Let's zoom in on Mesopotamia. We go. Get my water. Thank you so much for all of y'all's gifts. Get my water. Thank you so much for all of y'all's gifts. Please. Bible. We're coming to that King David thing in a minute. This is Canon. It's in black and white. I think that is just shows you that guy is no good. Temple. You know what? I got this. It's a temple coin. It just came in the mail today. Oh, temple coin. And you know what? This is from 2017, and it put Donald Trump next to King Cyrus that he was helping build the temple. He never condoned that metal, never produced this. The Chinese bought 1 million of them, and they spread them all out like it was some kind of campaign, but he never endorsed them or endorsed them whatsoever. And the Chinese bought 1 million of them. And that's what the Sanhedrin said. They sent him a letter. But, all right, listen. Take a picture. Good screenshot. All right, there it says the tomb of David. Now there's the temple. There's David's palace. That's up on top of Mount Zion. You see it right there? And then you can see Mount Moriah is lower. That Mount Zion is 110 feet higher than the temple. So it is the footstool to Mount Zion, David's palace. And he was up there so that he could look down on top of it and see what was going on. So he was always higher. David lived on the mountain of God. We just read that that's one of the 3 places that he's got. But there's the tomb of David right there outside the palace and right there. Now you watch that turns into, this says ancient Jerusalem, and these are in Roman miles right here. Take a picture of that. That's cool. Screenshot that. All right. Now here's the next picture. Pop. I'm screenshot it, and then you'll see right where there's the temple, there's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and there's this palace, but it just changed to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Take a picture of that. Look, I'll go back. Pop, there's the temple. Keep your eye on the temple and the palace. There's the temple and the palace, and now it's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. I'll zoom into it. Right there, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, there's the temple, and there's the palace. That Constantine moved that, man. Constantine moved David's grave. Sorry, that was 300 and something. And, I don't know, maybe he took it to Rome. Maybe they got the bones of David. And he supposedly had, David had Goliath's head, or his skull. The skull. He supposedly had that, and the sword. He got that. David got the sword of Goliath back in the Bible, and then when David was thought to be slain, Goliath's brother attacked David, and he girt a new sword, and it was the sword of Goliath. And that was the sword that David had, and he had gotten it from the temple when he went to go get the showbread. So David got the sword of Goliath, and he goes, "Oh, all I got here is the showbread or and the sword of Goliath." And he leaves with it. And then, like 2 chapters later, he gets attacked, and this dude girts a new sword, and it was his brother's sword. And they would have went to go get Goliath's sword back, and that was one of their things, man. So, and then right after that, David, it says in the Bible, it says, these are the last words of David. And then it goes through some type of prayer or a psalm almost that he's written. And it says that the people have seen God flying around in a chariot. And y'all go research this and read it. And, it's just a little deep, man. Nobody's ever seen God, and that's what he said in his things. Oh, and then he was ice cold, and David got no heat. So this guy's cold, and all of this happened right after he came out of that cave. I'm just telling you, if that movie, The House of David, if that continues down the way, it's going to be cool. I love this old map. You can see how it says it's in Roman miles. Again, I haven't thought to even put these. My subscribers, there's a place where I can put things like this, and it doesn't have that many. I'm going to take all these pictures and put them on there because they're really cool. You can spend some time, and I've got one of the fancy megapixels, so you can zoom into these pretty good. Let me look at some more. That is the Isaiah scroll. We're reading the Dead Sea Scrolls, and these are the book of Jubilees was in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's the Isaiah scroll right there. You can see it's like the top of a scroll, and that's the whole Isaiah scroll that goes around that. That's one of the longest scrolls. I actually made one of those super long. But that's the scroll, that's the words that Jesus read was the Isaiah scroll right there. They were in rough shape. This is what they're doing in Italy. I love Italy. And I know. Where'd we go, Jill? Venice. And we went to go see Carnival in Venice and all that stuff. And I'm going to tell you something. It was in 2020. And it was in March that we were, it was right around now. And it was right before COVID started there. And we were flying back, man, and COVID was on an airplane behind us. And we got back, and they started shutting the airports down as soon as we landed in the States. And boy, howdy. I don't know what all these people are, man. They're just, you know what? That's just You losing control. Great falling away. Well, sure are. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. Great falling away. Who's that? Nikki. I love that. Just that's for people. I mean, when you can't even stand up and clap for the people that were their parents gave their life and their children lost their life and what have you. You can't stand up and clap for them. Just sorry. Those are the cutest. Those are my grandkids right there. They're in the same class together. I love them to death. Y'all are just going through my picture roll now. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. We done? All right.
No, you're fine.
Yes,
I pinned a comment, but you keep missing them.
Wait, so the rest of one of Enoch is true, but Enoch 2 isn't. No.
You're asking a question.
I don't want to sit there and condemn Enoch 2. You read Enoch 1 and it'll tell you, I got the book of Enoch right here. And as soon as you get to right here, it says that this information is probably not true.
Read that.
Listen.
Tell that to them.
Every live, we will give out a subscription to the top viewer, sharer, tapper, or gifter. So every live, we're going to give out a subscription to the top viewer, sharer, tapper, or gifter. I tell you what, those people
sent some out tonight.
Did you?
No, I don't know how it works, but they said to check.
We're allowed, and you're allowed to too. I've made it to a certain mark. If you see somebody that you want to gift that subscription, again, you know, I'm going to give every one of my people new wine, a $2 bill, and it's got Mark 222 on it. And we're going to get them out because that says you can't put new wine in an old wineskin, and it's hard to print that out. To put new wine in an old wineskin, man. You start talking to them people in the old church, and they just won't take it. Oh, let me get back to Enoch. I love Enoch. Enoch 1 is Genesis 6:4 expanded on steroids. Great. The book of Jubilees tells the same story. Enoch 2 starts talking about Noah having blue eyes and white hair, and I'm not Noah. And just all kinds of, it's just too fantastical. And it wasn't found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. They only found 35 pages in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I'm almost finished The Beloved Companion. You know what? The Beloved Companion and Mary Magdalene, the book of Mary Magdalene, that was a book of Melchizedek in there too. They're all good. I put this thing up there in that game from the Xbox or whatever it is. It shows the guys just going into the curtain ripping. This is the Xbox game, and they go in that's coming out on Xbox, and you can go in the temple and go see all this stuff. So we made it. All right. Thank you so much for making those goals for me, and thank you so much for subscribing and supporting me. I can't wait to get those things out to you. I'll get the next study guide out before we get to the weekend. I promise you that. And the most important thing that I want you to do, and I'm going to wrap this up, is that you should take the Sabbath. We should be learning 6 days a week, and you should take the Sabbath and rest in Him. That's the biggest thing that you can do is rest. And the rest that I get in Him is the biggest thing. Is that the seraphim on the Ark of the Covenant? You know what? That whole thing that was in Solomon's temple, those right there, it does talk about them, but the two that they put in Solomon's temple were wood, and then they were clad with silver or gold. And he clad the floor of, it was almug wood, and he made all these things out of wood, almug wood first, and acacia wood, and then they clad them with gold. And that's what I think it's 2 Timothy or whatever, when you get around Christmas time, and they're going, You got silver and gold over wood, and he choppeth the wood. They're talking about that thing right there. They're talking about not making that thing right there. They're talking about making things like that. They're talking about making the pillars in Solomon's temple out of wood and the statues out of wood, and then cladding them with gold. And they said, and the smith and his thing talks about a metal forge and all that stuff. All right, do you know who the Thompson twin is? Let's see. Do you know who Thomas's twin is? I do not. Great lesson tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Our church wasn't having service this evening. I tell you what, I want to do that for some people. I want to do a church. This is my church. But I don't see me building a building. Everything I've ever read, it says, do not build that place. So I just couldn't see a virtual church, yeah, I want to do that. I want to do a virtual church, techno tabernacle, and I just want to be able to take this to you. But to tell you the truth, man, it should be something that we do 6 days a week, and on the Sabbath, we all take that day off, and until we get to the point to where we're actually, learning in Him. I'm going to tell you that's where it's at, man. If you won't rest, it is, if you're being woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of the night, I just want you to know, if you're out there listening to me, if you have ears, hear this, that if you're being woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, man, that's super hard to wake you up. I mean, you know it. You got to shake people, and it's not hard to wake. It's hard to wake you up, and you need to get up. You need to be called, and you need to say, here I am. That's what they say in the Bible. All the successful people in the Bible say, here I am, Lord. And have a Bible, have something that you can read, that you can randomly open, and it'll point you right to the right direction. And just knowing God and finding out, you will rest so much. I sleep like a baby. I go to bed at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I sleep all night long until about 5 o'clock. The very first thing that I do, I want you to do this, is stand up on the edge of your bed, you ask my wife, and put your one foot down and say thank, put your other foot down and say you, and stand up and say thank you. What can I do for you today, dear Lord? Don't give him a list of things that he needs to do for you, or to make you rich, or to make your house payment, or do all that stuff. You get up and ask him what you can do for him. And you go do what he tells you to do. And if you don't, you will. Do it. Just say thank you. And do a couple more prayers, man. Say, can I please see this world through your eyes? I say that every morning. People say, where do you come up with this stuff? And I say, dear Lord, please let me see this world through your eyes. Please let me be found living in your return. Please let me be found giving meat to those in due season. And I want you doing the same thing. I want you giving meat in due season. It is the season. It is the wedding season of the Lamb. And if y'all know about the wedding season of the Lamb, you hear about that. If you don't, I don't mind telling you. Do you want me to tell you about the wedding season of the Lamb? The way they used to get married back in the day, in Jesus' day, is the father wouldn't let the son get married until he had provided a house and a stable line for that woman to come into, for the bride to come into. And the father would say, I'm going to make an announcement when he's ready, and y'all all need to be ready. Because when he has this place established, when he's got a place to take the bride, when I see that he's fit and he's got a mansion for you, when he's got it right, the Father is going to blow the trumpet, just like the Father in heaven is going to blow the trumpet. And you don't know when he's going to blow it. So the whole deal was, you had to be ready for the wedding. You had to be ready, because they were going to allow you into this big thing. He'd been planning it for a year, and they were going to all go into this one place and shut the gates for 7 days. And once they shut the gates, you couldn't get in and you couldn't leave. That's why running out of wine in the wedding of Canon was a big deal, because nobody could leave and they couldn't bring wine in. They were in a dire strait. But they were in this, you would go into the wedding. So if you didn't have your wedding garments and your bags packed, your things ready to go, and your garments, your garments. This is your garment. The word of the Lord is your garment that you put on you. It says that when Peter was in the boat and the Lord was on the shore and he saw him and he was naked, and then John said, "Hey, it is the Lord," and he girt his fisher's coat, his garment, and he jumped in the water. You got to have your garments ready, or they'll blow the trumpet. Not mine. They'll blow the trumpet for the wedding, and if you don't make it, they're going to shut the door. You won't have time to pack. You won't have time to pack. And you need to have your garments ready. You need to have this spirit ready. And when he blew the trumpet, they would shut the door. And that was the wedding. And it's the wedding season of the Lamb. And we're what's going to be married. And he's coming. I love y'all so much, and thank you for joining me on these classes. I'll have it put up on the YouTube as soon as I can figure out how to play that Xbox game. If it'll ever develop, I'm going to take us into the temple. I know exactly where we're going in that one. And thank you so much. My title, Gifters and all, it's like Gigi said, we're going to give y'all subscriptions because that's what's going to help me make this through this. I love you so much. And thank you for following and liking all the work that I do. I certainly appreciate it. In Jesus' name, have a blessed day.